Welcome to the Belly Dance Stories podcast, a multimedia production directed by Alexandra Molina and Valerie Molinari.
You will hear inspiring conversations and learn about the ways belly dance has become a powerful channel of transformation in people's lives. Welcome, everybody, to our Belly Dance Stories podcast. Today, we have Esmeralda Colabone, and Esmeralda is from Brazil. She is a force of nature. She is embracing authenticity. She's challenging beauty standards in a rocky social climate. She has an extensive and incredibly rich background that I just can't wait for our listeners to hear about and for you to share your stories. She has worked and traveled to over 30 countries, teaching and performing, and as I've heard, changing people's lives and perspectives. We're also going to spice things up a little bit. We're going to change things around, and I'm going to be interviewing both Esmeralda and Valerie about the recent love affair, this unforgettable experience that we had in Miami. And Valerie is the producer of Love Affair, which is also in collaboration with Esmeralda's Silver Tour. So we're so happy to have you, Esmeralda. And I can't wait to start. So my first question for you is going to be, who is Esmeralda Colabone? And what is her belly dance origin story?
Oh, wow. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me. And Esmeralda Colabone is a 41-year-old woman, mother, daughter from a queen single mother. And I grew up in a beautiful family, not really knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up. And since I was the only child, when someone asked me, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to be? And I used to answer, I want to be an adult. So I could finally fit and be, with the adults that surrounded me. So I just wanted to be an adult, and now I am. And I didn't know what I was good at, but I loved to dance. And somehow my path worked towards this, develop towards this. So now I'm a dancer, I'm a teacher. I try to make people happy every single day, even above myself. And my belly dance story starts in my 16th birthday party. So my family is half Brazilian, half Italian. And we used to celebrate my birthdays on, Italian restaurants most of the time, let's eat some pasta, let's celebrate pasta moment, pasta time. And when I was 16th, I was like, can we please do something different this time? I'm going 16th. Can I change a little bit? And they were like, okay, what do you want to do? And at the time, we used to have this magazine, weekly magazine, that came with a list, of special places or the most popular restaurants that we had in town. And I saw a Egyptian tea house. I was like, well, that's cool. That's interesting. Back then, I was a ballet dancer and a jazz dancer, right? So I was like, Mom, let's go to an Egyptian tea house. And she was like, what are we going to eat there? I said, I don't know, but there's tea. Because it's, the name is the Egyptian tea house. We're going to drink some tea. Maybe we can eat something before. But I think it would be a nice experience. So we went there. Long story short, at some point, lights off, music on, and this beautiful belly dancer comes in. And I was just like, what is that? How is she moving with this much liberty, this freedom, this this smooth and straight at the same time, this balance, this harmony. How is she doing that? And since my background is an academic background, I was like, it doesn't look like a repertoire. I mean, I don't know, there's something about it. So what connected me to belly dance at first was that I was a teenager with teenage feelings, wanted to be free and express myself. And I was just in front of a dancer that was doing exactly that. And I feel that was so authentic and that was so her. And I was questioning myself, is that an improvisation? How does she knows what to do? And how do I want to dance like that? So that's how it started. I just wanted to dance my freedom. I just wanted to dance that way. Beautiful that way, freedom that way. That's how belly dance came into my life.
That's so special. I remember you talking about that in one of your workshops and thinking like, oh my gosh, the way that you explained that you came from a ballet background and you were questioning, but it's not choreography. It's not this, it's not that. Everything that you learned, and she was showing you that there's another way that you could be you as a dancer. And so what happened after that?
So after that, in this Egyptian tea house that is part of the Brazilian belly dance history, the place called Khan El Khalili, and many people know it because of Lulu Sabonji. And at that time, amazing classes happened there. You know, if you wanted to be a professional belly dancer in Brazil, back then, that was one of the places to be.
This is Sao Paulo?
São Paulo, yes. São Paulo capital, yes. But unfortunately, we couldn't afford the classes, right? And we had a neighborhood club where you can go to swim, gym, chess classes, you know, this kind of thing, gymnastics. So I stay at least a week on my mom's, like, Mom, please, I really want to do. And she was like, no way. You stay where you are. You do your pliés. You do your things. That's enough. I was like, Mom, but please, I just want to experience one time. And then once she got tired of me, you know, she was like, okay, go to the neighborhood club because I pay it monthly. Right? So if there's a belly dance class there, you're free to do it. But if not, end of discussion, you're not going to ask me again. So I remember spending the night praying like I never prayed before. Please, make it be made it be a belly dance class there, a belly dance teacher or something, right? So you're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it, but it's true. What I'm saying, it's true. So I put myself together the other day, put my eyeliner and fix my hair, and let's go to the neighborhood club. So once you get in order to go to the administration section, you have to go down like this huge stairs, right? So I just turned to the stairs. This beautiful lady with black hair was coming up, and she looked at me and she goes like, hi. And I was like, hi. She's like, wow, you're so beautiful. Are you Arabic? And I was like, no, but I'm looking for belly dance classes. And she was like, oh, I'm the belly dance teacher of the neighborhood club.
She found you.
She found me. And I found her.
What was her name?
Lucia, my friend, my first teacher. She saw in me, I think she had the answer that till that moment in my life, I didn't have, which was, what do I want to be? What can I be? What am I good at? So the moment I started taking her classes, she looked at me and she said, you were meant to do this. you're good in this. You're a beautiful dancer. I think it was the first time that I actually heard that I was a good dancer. So from that moment, my teenager mind start thinking, okay, I can be a dancer. That could be a possibility in my life, you know? And so we stayed together for 2 beautiful years. She taught me everything that she knew. And I love to put it on this way. Everything that it was on her hands, she gave it to me. Everything. So the moment that I closed this chapter, our chapter, and went to the new one, I realized that there was a lot of things that I didn't know, right? But I never blamed her at all. I was aware that even though she didn't teach me the name of that song, or she didn't teach me the 10 most common rhythms that I needed to know, even though that information was not part of me, she put me in the right place on the right time. Like she set my career before I even realized it. You know what I mean? So that was already huge. I'm so thankful.
When did you start dancing? Not belly dancing, but dancing or taking ballet classes. And how old were you?
4.
4 years old. And so I don't want to tell your story, but I feel like in the workshops I go back to it because, well, number one, workshops are so beautiful because, you know, we're all there, we're dancing, and then and for many dancers, I feel, Val and I always make fun of it, that when we're having a conversation with another dancer, we're also in movement, we're in physical movement, so we end up kind of saying a little more, and we're more animated. But I just loved how when you were telling us the story, this origin story of meeting this teacher, and that you went in that first day and you had such a great time, and then you said, I'm coming back tomorrow, and then you came back the next day and she was a little sad.
You want me to go on that story?
Yes, please, because the way that you'll tell the story, but it's just the way that you progressed that story and what happened was so interesting to me. I'll have maybe a follow-up question to that, but please share that.
So we connected, and I had my first class, my second class, my third class. And at some point one day, I noticed that she was not happy. Something was wrong with her. And I asked her, are you feeling okay? Is everything okay? And she trusted in me the information that she was sad because she was preparing a specific student, one beautiful girl, beautiful dancer, that started dancing with her and got, in a advanced level. And she prepared her for a competition. But for personal reasons, her reasons, she decided to change to another teacher, right? So she was not having classes with Lucia anymore. She decided to go to another teacher, and she was still going to compete, but under the name of the new teacher. And Lucia was very sad about that, right? So I told her, and she I remember this, like, I think maybe that was the first time that she had a student that went this far. You know what I mean? So she had a lot of expectations, like, oh my God, I finally have a student and she's advanced and she's going on a competition and I really believe she can win. So it was a win for her as well, right? And she lost it. And I told her, well, if you train me, I can win this competition, right? And I don't know, she just looked at me in a mix of, this is so cute, this girl is so crazy, right? But she accepted, right? And she did it. And I start going to her house 3-4 times a week for private classes in her small, very cozy living room that had one small mirror, a carpet, and a little cassette player, right? And CD player, small one. And she just started developing me. And it was a very organic kind of process, you know? She used to ask me, can you do this? Can you do it? Can you feel it like this? Listen to the music. But in a very organic way. And this process was so beautiful. I learned about her hopes, her dreams. I met her family, her entire family. She used to do cakes for me. We had a beautiful time. We create something that it's on up to today. You know, we met each other. We live in the same neighborhood in São Paulo. So we met each other. And there's not one day that she doesn't look to my stories and comment or a post, but mostly on stories. And she goes like, that's my girl. Oh, he's beautiful. And so this is priceless, right? Anyway, the day of the competition arrived and I actually won the competition. It was fantastic. I was wearing this green dress, this green bedla style dress that she bought it for herself, but she never used it. And she said, you know, if you want it, we can fix it for you. And she did. And she helped me to do my hair. I had this black hair, very, very long. Can I add a little part of the story that I normally don't bring up? So when I arrived to the competition place, the presenter asked me under which name I wanted to be called on stage. So for those who doesn't know, nice to meet you. My name is Giovanna. My name is Giovanna. And I answer, well, by my name. My name is Giovanna. Oh, okay, you don't have a stage name. It was the first time I hear a stage name. And I was like, no, Giovanna's great. Giovanna's fine. So 3 to 5 minutes after that, Lucia comes running on backstage. I have to tell you something that I forgot. So yesterday, I went to this tarot place, right, with this very wise, amazing woman, and she read the cards for me, and I'm feeling very positive. But the most important part of it is that once we finish the reading, she closes the tarot and one card pull it out, and it was the Imperatriz, right? And Lucia was crazy about stones, gemstones. Her daughters named Crystal and Agatha, so she was really into precious stones and gems and stuff. And she was like, you know what gem represents the Imperatriz? And I was like, no. And she was like, an emerald. An emerald, and you're wearing green. And then she calls the presenter and she goes like, excuse me. You have to call her Esmeralda. And that's how I got my name.
Oh my God.
I get goosebumps.
Me too.
And I never questioned her. Ever. She looked at me, you are Esmeralda. And from that moment on till today,
Esmeralda.
I am Esmeralda.
Wow. I wanted to bring that story up because it's a very different origin story than many dancers have. Most dancers go through studios or schools, and yours was you gave her a hope, you gave her a chance to be a teacher. And I think that's very special for students to do that for whoever they're working with, or it's a very simple reason why I wanted you to share that story, but that's amazing. That extra, the reason why your name is Esmeralda, your stage name is Esmeralda, was so cool.
Shout out to those amazing teachers out there that I know sometimes in the belly dance world we get caught up sometimes in the drama and toxic relationships, but there's so many wonderful women out there that give everything. They give everything. I had a very similar relationship with my first teacher. She just gave me everything. She had this need to see me winning, and like I remember her telling to my mom once, I want her to become everything that I couldn't. Like she was just, and like, yeah, those are very special souls out there.
This, what you just said, it's exactly the way I feel. And I never forgot, I never forgot I had this image in my head of Lucia being so sad and so disappointed. So after a while, after our 2 years together, I decided that I wanted to have another experience. So I went to a belly dance school and I stayed there for, I think, 6 months, something like this. And then was the real plot twist of my life that it's when I got to Arabic countries, but we're going to get there. But I remember when I told her that I wanted to go to that school, you know, oh, I got this opportunity and I think I'm going to take it. I saw the same sadness, like I'm losing her, you know. And I told her, unfortunately, I didn't say it at the moment because I was too young for that. But once it was time for me to go to Arabic countries, I was wise enough to say, you will always be with me anywhere I go, right? So as Giovanna, I want to make my queen, my mom, always proud. And as Esmeralda, I really, really want every single day to make Lucia proud. Because in the end of the day, I was the one that I was the biggest student that she had. Like the way I reached it, sorry, I don't know if I put it in the right words, but the same way that she said, wow, I had this student and she was the one who, you know, went really far and I lost it, but you're not going to lose me. And she didn't.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful.
I think it's hard for us teachers also to, you know, we pour so much into our students. And when they finally graduate from us, it's like they're our kids. It's like, imagine you just gave birth to a baby or a dancer and now she's going to go to college by herself. And like, she's not going to need it so much. And like, it's difficult to let go. You get nostalgia. You're like, oh, you know, she's going to remember me.
Remember your teachers. Please, always remember your teachers. Remember where you come from. This is very important because depending on where you're walking, where you're going to, this will take you over. You know, we are humans. So depending on where you're going, I'm sure you will arrive to places that will make you feel so powerful, so important that you might concentrate yourself in that moment only. And the only way for you to ground yourself is to remember where you come from. So it doesn't matter where I am, I'm still the same girl that was in that small little living room with one mirror and one carpet and one cassette player. I will be always that girl. And I think that is what helped me get here, grounded as I am.
Are we ready for our listeners to hear the plot twist?
Mm-hmm, I think so. Yeah.
So some of our listeners are not belly dancers. Some of them don't know, or they might not know what happens in some experiences where dancers go to the Middle East and and that process. What was that journey like for you?
So, at some point, I went to another chapter. I went to a belly dance school. It was a beautiful experience. And then I heard about this dancer, Lulu. Lulu, at the time, one of the queens, belly dance queens that we had. And she was about to do this weekend intensive, right? And so I mentioned it to my mom, and my mom gave me as a birthday gift. She paid the weekend so I could meet Lulu for the first time and take classes, right? And it was a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I saw a lot of professional dancers. People that I'm connected up to today were there. And the place was amazing. And, you know, the structure of the class, I was really impressed of everything because it was the first time that I was really connecting to that kind of professional level workshop thing. And we had the morning section and then break and afternoon. During the first part of the day, I noticed that Lulu was kind of looking at me through the mirror. You know, I was back because I was shy. I didn't know anyone and people knew each other, you know, so I felt a little bit outsider. And so in the break, Lulu came to me and she was like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you. I'm Esmeralda." And Lucia was, for a period of time, Lulu's student. So I told her, I'm going to take a weekend-long intensive with Lulu. And she said, "Oh, if you have the opportunity, tell her that, you know, I was her student." I was like, okay. So that was my opportunity. I said, I'm a student of Lucia. She was one of your students for a period of time. She said that you used to love her strawberry cake. And then she was like, "Oh, yes, I know who she is. Yes, that's fantastic." And then she looked at me up and down and she goes like, "Why you're not dancing in my house?" In Khanal Khalili at the time. And I was like, I don't know. You know,
Halili is the tea shop that you went.
The tea house. Yes, the tea house. So she was like, "Okay, after the break, I want you forward. First line in class."
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay. And I took my space and we had a beautiful afternoon. I learned so much. We have proofs, paper pictures. And when we finished, she called me to the side and she said, "Look, I want to give you something." She took a small paper and she wrote on this paper, "Omar, phone number." She gave it to me and she said, "You're going to call this man because you are international material." And then she called him and she said, "Omar, I have an emerald for you. Like I have a gem for you." And even though I was very like, wow, what's happening? You know, I'm being discovered. Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't take it seriously. Even though I was like, oh, maybe she just wanted to, I don't know, maybe she just wanted to want me to go to her house. I don't know. For somehow maybe I took her serious. I was just not taking myself that serious. I think that's the right way to put it, you know? So it took me 30 days to call Omar. 30 days, a month. But then I finally did. And his wife answered, Olga. Amazing, fantastic. So Olga answered the phone and I said, can I please talk to Omar? My name is Esmeralda and I'm calling because of Lulu. She passed the phone. He answered, he takes the phone and he goes like, you are 30 days late.
Oh my gosh.
You're late. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm here. Okay, we need to meet, come with your mom. And long story short, we had our first meeting. So who is Omar? Omar Nabulsi, he is the owner of Belly Dance Brazil, which is the arm of La Maison de l'Artiste from Lebanon, right? That represents La Maison de l'Artiste of Lebanon. What is La Maison de l'Artiste of Lebanon? Back in the days, it was the biggest entertainment agency of the Middle East, based in Beirut and responsible to work and provide singers, musicians, dancers, all kind of artists through the Middle East. So I went to this meeting, met Omar, his wife. He explained to us, me and my mom, how it was to work in Arabic countries. So would you like to move to the Arab world and dance daily as a professional belly dancer? And I was like, yeah. Now, let's take in mind, we are talking 2000, this was 2002, okay? We had no Skype, no Instagram, no WhatsApp, we didn't have that, right? Okay, so we went back home. We opened the book. We had this big book with a map, right? Where is the United Arab Emirates? Because that's supposed to be my first stop, United Arab Emirates. So where is it in the map? Where is it? Where is it? It's here. Oh my God. And we're here. And it's here. Oh my God, that's far. How are we going to communicate? And my mom was like, how are we going to communicate? So we went through this turbulence process of, are we really doing this? Okay. And my mom, I think this is a very important contrast. My mom is a single mom, and unfortunately, she wasn't able to be what she wanted to be in life. And even though she wanted to say, no, you're not going, I feel that she was like, okay, as her mom, I can tell her not to. But as a woman, do I want to stop her the way they stopped me? You know what I mean? So she let me go. I remember at the airport, at the moment that, we had to say goodbye, I had to go in. That was the moment that hit me, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And then she took me in the arms like this. She was like, listen to me, don't cry. Don't cry. She looked right into my soul. She said, don't cry. You wanted this. You go. And if anything goes wrong, you come back because I'm still your mom. I'm going to be here. But now you go and do it because that's what you want. And yeah. And then on December 2nd, 2002, I boarded in a flight to Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, for my first contract. That it was in Le Méridien Hotel Abu Dhabi, El Berki restaurant, for 3 months.
How old were you?
19.
Oh my gosh. 19.
So she gave you the courage to actually follow your dreams.
She transferred it over.
She transferred it over, yeah.
She did. And there's something that she said when we were preparing the narrative for the Silver Tour. I wanted to do a video with her voice. And she said something that it was way, way deeper than I expected. She was like, she was very courageous to choose this path. But I was even more for letting her go?
Okay, we need a break.
This was expected.
Wow, yeah.
This was expected, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real stuff, and that's difficult.
You were 19
19.
Wow.
by yourself.
By myself.
Did you knew Arabic at the time?
Oh, no. Oh,
Nothing.
no. I didn't know Arabic. I didn't know song names. I didn't know Arabic rhythms. I didn't know what was baladi. I didn't know what was saidi. I didn't know what it was khaliji. They just saw this 19-year-old beautiful girl, very passionate about belly dance. And they were like, that could be our dancer here in the agency.
Wow.
She's commercial. We like her. Let's have it. And then, like that, I became a professional belly dancer in Arabic countries. I was at the time, 2002, I was the youngest dancer in the agency, not Brazilian, the youngest dancer from all nationalities of the agency. For that reason, for example, I couldn't work for 19, 20, 20, for 3 years. There were a few places, a few restaurants, a few countries that I wasn't able to work because they're considering me a minor. I had to be 21. But by the time I got to 21, I already traveled a lot. So I already had my schedule, the restaurants that like to work with me. So for example, Dubai was a place that took me almost 6 years to get there. Because even when I was 21, I was still touring in other places. So it was never the time for it.
Culturally speaking, how different is the Arab world? If you would take yourself back, then how different, oh my gosh, I'm stumbling over my words. How culturally different is the Arab world from your world in Brazil? And was it a shock to get over there at that age, in that time, with no social medias or any digital world era to kind of prep you for what you might see or experience?
That's a great question because I feel that at first it was a brutal shock. Like, oh my God, where I am, and all of these people and who are them? And, it was an interesting fact is that when you arrive at the airport, at least when I arrived at Abu Dhabi airport in 2002, in the first minute, I saw Arabs, Emiratis, Indians, Filipinos, Pakistanis, all together in the same ambience. I have never in my life been in a place with so many different nationalities all together. So that was what shocked me the most. It was not the visual. It was not the dresses. It was not, it was the fact that I was together with so many different nationalities. And in here, I was listening to one language, and here I was listening to another language. And I was like, what is that? So that was my first shock. And then I had the second shock, which was, of course, the aesthetic, right? To see the men and the women in different type of clothing. Again, let's considering all these nationalities, right? So all these different dresses and images. And I felt an outsider because somehow even though they were so different, they blend, but I wasn't blending. I wasn't blending. I was this Brazilian girl with jeans and a t-shirt and, my hair all over the place. Very young. I think even them, I felt a lot of, eyes like, what is she doing here? And I remember at the airport, someone asked me like, do you have your parents with you? And I was like, no, I'm 19. I can travel alone.
I'm an adult.
I'm an adult. I'm an adult. So that was the first shock for me. How am I going to survive in between so many different people and nationalities? And then day by day, I discover, religion topics and cultural things and food and languages. And it was a day by day kind of getting into the place. But I realized that the most important was, I don't ask me how. I don't know how I realized that. But I understood very fast that I had to blend. Like I had to belong somehow if I wanted to survive. So it was not a matter of them accepting me. It was about me figuring out how to live with them. Am I versátil? ¿Cómo se dice?
Flexible,
Flexible.
to
Am I versatile?
Adapt.
Fantastic. Am I versatile, flexible enough to open up and absorb and balance who I am with who they are? And can I live here?
I want to ask, did you went directly to live in the hotel? In a hotel when you went from Brazil, where did you arrive?
I arrived in Abu Dhabi, and the owner of the restaurant had buildings like not exactly like a hotel, like apartments that you could rent. Like a normal apartment, right? They call it Sahara flats. So they have like Mr. Albert Mata was the owner of Alberque restaurant and the owner of the Sahara franchise. And they had, 13, 15 buildings. So I had my own apartment. So I was working in the hotel because the restaurant was inside of the hotel. So I was part of that team, that entertainment. But I was living a few blocks away on my own apartment at the Sahara building. So I had this, let's say, I had a house. Let's put it this way. I was not in a hotel room yet, so it would get worse. But I had the opportunity to at least, okay, this is my space. I have a little house. I can, go to the supermarket and do my cooking and do my time and kind of spread myself.
Did the agency took care of that? Or that was something, that you, okay.
The agency took care of everything. But at that time, La Maison de l'Artiste had one of the best contracts, like paper
Conditions.
speaking, conditions, So we as a dancer, once we were hired, we were hired by the hotel. So Le Méridien was hiring me to dance and be the dance face of that restaurant that represents Arabic culture in that place, right? So I had to have place to live, food, laundry, everything. I had to be treated like a queen, right? And what they always said to us was like, we're going to give you everything you need in order to perform the best way you can, because you are the dance face of a 5 stars hotel. So that's important too.
And you were in the Middle East for 12 years, and you moved around to several countries. How often did you change and move?
Between 1 to 3 months. The longest contracts would be 3 months, and then Like the most common ones were like 1 month. So 1 month and then you move 1 month. But there's exceptions. So for example, I had one of the biggest contracts in Tunisia. I stayed there for 6 months because they hire me for 3 months and then they renew it for more 3 months, right? And I also had one of the biggest, if not the biggest contract in JW Marriott, Dubai, which was also 6 months. So there's exceptions.
What wisdom would you share from your experience of all those 12 years, which I'm sure I can only assume are very dense? But is there anything you would share for dancers who might be interested in working in the Middle East that are not from those countries?
I think the first thing that it's important to mention is that this atmosphere, this era that I was blessed to experience doesn't exist anymore.
I was about to ask you that. Like, how did your experience back then contrast with the experience of dancers nowadays? Because I don't think that happens anymore, right?
I went back to UAE in 2021. I left UAE in 2012, but I still perform in Arabic countries until 2014. And then I came back on 2021. It was the first time I was stepping in UAE again. And of course, I wanted to have, the restaurant show experience. And so the first shock was to discover that many of the places that I worked were closed, right? The scenario changed completely. Of course, that was expected, right? I mean, we changed. But I wasn't aware that it was such a huge change. So I discovered that many places were closed. I discovered that, unfortunately, La Maison de l'Artiste was not the biggest agency anymore, and the contracts and the conditions was over. Like it was not like that at all. So I realized that I lived in an era of queens. Like we were queens of the entertainment, like the same way that we have the golden era, let's say. Okay, maybe that was not the best, parallel, but the same way that we have this golden era, we were the golden era of the Gulf entertainment. I was part of the golden era of the Gulf entertainment, right? And Levantine entertainment. So I went to a restaurant to see a belly dance show, and it was beautiful. I love it. For 60 minutes, I felt like I went back on time because it was the same aesthetics, the same arrangements, the same power, the same playlist. It was incredible to be back to a place with a belly dancer doing, no rush kind of repertoire and just listening Sawa being played fully and completely. So that was like, oh my God, I'm back in time. I'm back here. But once the show was over, that place just transformed. And I was able to talk to a few dancers that was working there. And they said that. They said it. One of them, my dear friend Carmen Fragoso, I believe you guys.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, who do you went to see?
Carmen Fragoso, yes. I told her I was coming, and she was like, I would love to have you as my guest on my show. And I was like, absolutely. So she just performed beautifully that day. I was so glad to be there. And she told me, looking into my eyes, what you lived, unfortunately, we are not able to experience anymore. You were the golden era of this place. Now everything changed, which is really, really sad. But, everything, this is how the world goes. Like, there's some things that changes a lot. We are always changing and evolving, but there are some things that never changed, right? So what I could say is that we have the belly dance world outside Arabic countries, and we have the belly dance world inside Arab countries. They are not the same. They don't have the same rules. They don't buy for the same songs. They don't value things on the same way. So if you are a dancer, a belly dancer, very active in festivals, haflas, belly dance schools all over the world, once you decide that you want to make a career in Arabic countries, you have to be ready to be flexible and understand that from that moment on, everything that you are going to be questioned. Everything that you already accomplished maybe has no value whatsoever. And you're going to have to create maybe a new structure and a new posture. Like you have to really put yourself together in a different way, because from now on, your audience, it's going to be completely different. You're going to be dancing for Arabic people. And it's not the same as dancing for Brazilians people, Argentinian, Americans, Europeans, Asians. So it's a completely different, because you are dealing with people that hear these songs since they were born. They have 1 day old and they're listening to Fairuz. They have 10-year-old and they already saw 200 belly dancers in their lives. So the expectation is completely different. And how you're going to blend, it's not about standing out. So this is one thing that I think it will never change. When you are in the belly dance festival circuit, when you are, talking belly dance global, we tend to presume that, okay, I want to be someone in this industry. I want to stand out. And then you go to Arabic countries. And maybe I'm not updated on this, but anyway, I'm just going to finish my thought. But once you go to Arabic countries, standing out is not really what you have to do. I mean, you have to, technically speaking, but at the same time, you have to blend in.
Art versus entertainment. When did you start feeling like you were an artist?
Once I was off the Arabic countries. I never felt like an artist in Arabic countries. And if you are Arab descendant, don't get me wrong, I felt so loved and support, and I owe 12 years of my life to these people. You guys have no idea how much I love them and I respect them and I'm thankful. But I didn't feel like an artist because I was free up to page 2 to do what I wanted to do. Experiment, freedom, creation. Habibti, listen, you go, you make your show beautiful, you put your bedla, yes, your 2 pieces costume, you put your beautiful shoes, you have your makeup on, you have your hair done, your nails, not too much boobs, no problem, you put your sponge, go beautiful. What is the goal? Let's set the goal. We have the team. Who are the team? Who is the team? Musicians, you, waiters, management. We are all ready to give you the best night of your life. Oh, and the singers as well, right? So I was part of a world. I was part of a bubble.
Yeah,
Yes?
the experience of the restaurant will provide to that
Exactly.
audience.
Exactly. So my goal was to make people happy together with the arak, the shish taouk, the hummus, the song, everything. I have to make them happy. So when you think like that, your artistic side, your creation part, you know what I mean? It's limited. It's very limited. Plus, we have the society values and the way culture see you and the way society sees you. I I know this is something very strong to say, and I hope I am allowed to say it here, but I say that once I signed the contract, I was signing a prostitute label of myself, because I was dancing with my legs out, belly out, 80% of my body showing off to an Arabic audience. And it really didn't matter how smart I was and how many languages I speak, the family that I came from. It was we will always have someone in the audience look at you like you're a piece of meat. Easy to buy, easy to use, easy to let it go. So I'm not afraid to say that. And I know that might sound really harsh, but I think we need to say it. That's how I felt for many years.
And I think that sometimes with the same Orientalism and the way we fantasize about the Arab world, sometimes in the belly dance industry, people is afraid to talk about this, that there's also... that's part of the stigma, I feel, of the dance in the Middle East, that sometimes is related to sex work. And there's advances that people will do. People will ask you if you're available to do this. I'm sure you receive a lot of invitations like that. And we prefer to stay behind the glamour of the dance, that we're like these superstars in the Middle East. And sometimes I feel we're not aware of those type of challenges that dancers that decide to perform in the Middle East go through. And it's hard.
We need to normalize the fetish. Talking about the fetish. We need to normalize talking that it hurts. We need to normalize that we have to practice hours and hours and be sweaty and ugly with the hair all over the place, full of freeze and pain everywhere, and the painkillers that we have in our bags. Like, we work with body. This is my instrument, and it hurts. You don't see it when I'm ready on stage, shining bright like a diamond or like an emerald. You don't see it, but we need to normalize this part, this side, especially in order to have a better generation, a more aware in terms of effort, engagement, communication, commitment. It's not your expensive, shining costume that will make you an amazing professional. It's not your sharp, on point, expensive makeup that will make you beautiful. I mean, it will make you beautiful. The costume will make you beautiful. Absolutely. It's part of the combo. But your dance, your technique, your posture, your communication, your body consciousness, your body language, your knowledge. How is your body, how much of your body says, I'm a dancer? Not your image, not your clothes, right? For example, for 12 years, I performed every single day. 1 hour and a half sometimes, show. And I dance baladi, I dance saidi, I dance khaliji, I dance all kinds of styles. Didn't change my dress. It was one dress only. Oh my God, but how do you show that it's a baladi? How do you show that it was a saidi? How do you show that it was a khaliji? Body change, posture change. Plus the song, I was dancing for an audience that have this knowledge. So I didn't need to draw, I didn't need to draw. So that was, what was expected of me? How do I belong to that song? How much did I know from that people, from that culture? So I'm doing a baladi. How much do you know about baladi? How much do you know about saidi? How much do you know about khaliji? especially most of the time I was in UAE. So how much do you know about Emirati? How much can you blend when a Khaliji song start playing and we are all enjoying? How do you enjoy that make you be a part of our world? You know what I mean? So we need to normalize talking about that and how important that is.
We want to thank our sponsors, Orlando Belly Dance Convention, HGAB Studios, Maison de Mosaics, and The Peacemaker for this podcast between Love Affair and Belly Dance Stories.
And remember that September 23rd, we start our amazing performance development lab. And you can follow us at Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple so you can see more information about our podcast and all the amazing things we're bringing to you.